यमुना तीरा वनचारी यमुना तीरा वनचारी जय राधा जय कुंज बिहारी जय राधा माधव जय कुंज बिहारी Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama
परमहंस परिव्रज चक्राचार्य अष्टोत्तर शिष्य डिवाइन श्री ऐसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर शिवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद जय। राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्यामा कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। वृंदावन धाम की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। तुलसी देवी भक्ति देवी की जय जय। जामवेद भक्त वृंद की जय। गौर प्रेमानंदे
हरि हरि बोल।
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories to assembled devotees.
Hare Krishna.
All glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga.
Hare Hare Bol.
Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharine Nirvishesha Shunnavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. Hare Krishna Prabhuji and Mataji. Now we are starting to have today's session, Canto 1, Chapter 10. Today is text number 26. So, Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo
Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Narayana Namaskrityam Naram Chaiva Narottamam Devim Saraswatim Vyasam Tato Jaya Mudire Shamvatam Swakatha Krishna Punya Shavana Kirtana Hradyantasto Hi Abhadrani Vadanoti Svatsatam Nashta Prayeshu Abhadreshu Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya Bhagavati Uttama Shloke Bhaktir Bhavati Naishtuki. So I will read the shloka 3 times and after that you please decide. Aho alam sladhyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yadesha punsam rishabha shriyah patihi swajanmana chang kramanen na chanchati. Aho alam sladhyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yadesha punsam rishabha shriyah patihi swajanmana chang kramanena chanchati. Aho alam sladhyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yadesha punsam rishabha shriyah patihi swajanmana chang kramanena chanchati. Please recite.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yad esha pumsam rishabhashriyapati swajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yadesha pumsam rishabhashriya pati swajanmana chankramanena chanchati. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Aho alam shalakyatmam yado kulam. Aho alam punyatmam madhorvanam. Yadesha pumsam risabhastriyapatihi swajanma chankramanena chanchati.
Aho alam slagyatamam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatamam madhorvanam. Yad esha pumsam rishabhashriyapati swajanmana chankramane na chanchati.
Hare Krishna. Ahovalam shaladhayatam yadohukula mahovalam punyatam madhovaranam yadesha pusam rishabha shriyah patihi swajanmana chadkramani chanchati. Hare Krishna.
Anyone else?
Aho alam slagyatatmanam yadokulam. Aho alam punyatmanam madhorvanam. Yadesha pumsam rishabhashriyapati swajanmana chankramanena chanchati.
So we will do word to word now. Aho, oh, alam, verily, slagya tamam, supremely glorified. Yado, of King Yadu, Kulam, dynasty. Aho, oh, alam, verily, punyatamam, supremely virtuous. Madhor Vanam, the lane of Mathura, yet, because Isha, this, Isha, Pumsan, of all living being, Rishabh, supreme leader, Shriya, the goddess of fortune, Patihi, husband, Swajanmana, by his appearance, Chankra Manen, by crawling, Chanchati, glories. Translation and purport by Srila Prabhupada. Oh, how supremely glorified is the dynasty of King Yadu, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where the supreme leader of all living beings, the husband of goddess of fortune, has taken his birth and wandered in his childhood. purport. In the Bhagavad Gita, the personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, has expressly expressively given a description of transcendental appearance, disappearance, and activities. The Lord appears in a particular family or place by his inconceivable potency. He does not take his birth as a conditioned soul quits his body and accepts another body. His birth is like the appearance and disappearance of the sun. The sun arises in the eastern horizon, but that does not mean that eastern horizon is the parent of the sun. The sun is existent in every part of the solar system, but he becomes visible at the scheduled time and so also becomes invisible at another scheduled time. Similarly, the Lord appearance in this universe like the sun and again leaves our sight at another time. He exists at all the times and at every place. But by his causeless mercy, when he appears before us, we take it for granted that he has taken his birth. Anyone who can understand this truth in terms of statements of revealed scripture certainly becomes liberated just after quitting the present body. Liberation is obtainable after many births and after great endeavor in patience and perseverance, in knowledge and renunciation. But simply by knowing in truth about the Lord's transcendental birth and activities, one can get liberation at once. This is the verdict of Bhagavad Gita. But those who are in darkness of ignorance conclude that the Lord's birth and activities in the material world are similar to those of the ordinary living beings. Such imperfect conclusions cannot give any liberation. His birth, therefore, in the family of King Yadu, is the son of King Vasudeva and his transfer into the family of Nanda Maharaj in the land of Mathura are all transcendental arrangements made by the internal potency of the Lord. The fortunes of the Yadu dynasty and that of the inhabitants of land of Mathura cannot be materially estimated. If simply by knowing the transcendental nature of the birth and activities of the Lord, one can get liberation easily. We can just imagine what is in store for those who actually enjoyed the company of the Lord in person as a family member or as a neighbor. All those who were fortunate enough to associate with the Lord, the husband of goddess of fortune, certainly obtain something more than what is known as liberation. Therefore, rightly, the dynasty and the land are both ever glorious by the grace of the land. Om Agyantimirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmritam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam. Hey Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namastate Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Haripriye Vancha Kalpatarubhyasya Krapa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Nama Vishnu Padaya Krishna Pristaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pachane Nirvishesha Sannavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. So thank you very much for giving me this opportunity to glorify Shri Bhagavatam this morning. Today is very special day, Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi. And if time permits, I will like to speak few words about Pandav Nirjala Ekadashi, what is the importance of that. But what we are discussing now from verse number 20 to verse number 31 actually, is the ladies of Hastinapur. They are discussing among themselves the glories of Lord Krishna actually. And they are having very pleasant talks actually. those all the ladies of the Hastinapur actually, they were fully absorbed in talking about Lord Krishna and remembering his all the activities, because Lord Krishna's activities are so attractive for everyone's ear and also mind. So they were actually, they are more attractive even about the Vedic hymns, what is written in Vedas and all the Shrutis, Smritis, everything, it's, even when the ladies were talking, it was much more pleasant than this. So sometimes we can see that the Shrutis, like Vedas or Upanishads, they sometimes describe, indirectly glorify the Lord, but the talk of the Hastinapur ladies were much more pleasant than that, because they were directly glorifying the Lord. So they were saying that Radha Krishna is the original Purusha, is the Mahavishnu, and he existed before this creation actually. So he is not part of this creation. That means, and also all the ingredients and materials, they were created by Krishna. So Krishna already had this. So he is not the part of this material creation actually. He's transcendental to all this creation and everything, creation and annihilation, everything. And he himself manifested in the form of the scriptures, because he gave like his incarnation age, Vyasadeva, and he wrote all these scriptures actually. So these scriptures, written by all the Jiva souls, so they can take advantage, remember the Supreme Lord, and then make arrangements, how to go back to Lord, So these things can be done. So, and lots of harm can be actually pursued by, if they intensely control their senses and they hear about Krishna again and again. So those great devotees actually can purify themselves by bhakti, and then they can experience the form of the Lord. And Lord actually has very excellent pastimes, and devotees actually can remember and should remember those pastimes, like the ladies of the Hastinapur were remembering the pastimes of the Lord. And also to remember how Lord Krishna actually creates, annihilates, and maintains this material world. But he himself actually remains unaffected. He is not affected by this Maya Devi or three modes of material nature or anything of this material world. And yesterday we read about his divine descent, how he takes avatar in this material world, and people think that he is just like a ordinary man of this material world, but actually he is not. And in today's verse, actually, if you see, Sri Prabhupada is saying that how supremely praiseworthy is the dynasty of Yadu, King Yadu, because Krishna was born in Yadu dynasty, and how virtuous is the Mathura, where Lord Krishna actually took his birth. And the Mathura means the Braj Mandal, the 84 kilometers of the mile of the land, So that land, and how Krishna performed his activity and everything, because Krishna in the Mathura or Braj Bhumi, he took his birth and he wandered all around during his pastime. So that Krishna is said here as in the third line as Shriyapati. Shriyapati means husband of goddess of fortune. But Krishna, and Chanchati means he was crawling all around in the Braj Bhumi. Actually, Krishna didn't left even 1 inch of land. Krishna was crawling all around whole Braj Bhumi. Actually, he was taking his cows to all the 12 forests of Vrindavan. And so everyone, all the Brajvasis were enjoying his activities and seeing by their eyes. So that's why they say that how glorified is the Yadu dynasty, where Lord Krishna took birth actually, and how virtuous is the land of Mathura, where Lord Krishna performed all the activities, and all the Brajvasis were seeing those. So we will actually, a couple months ago, I was in Braj Bhumi and in Vrindavan, and I was visiting Radha Raman temple, and so the Pujari there, the Goswami there was telling, that we are in the Kali Yuga now, and he was telling something, which I never read in any books. He was telling that Kali Yuga started on 18th of February, 3102 years ago. Not years ago, 3100 years before the Christ. So that means, this is the 51-25 years since Kali Yuga started. Then the Kali Yuga started actually when Lord Krishna left this material world, went to his Swadham in Golok Vrindavan. So since that time is almost more than, Prabhupada also said more than 5,000 years. So it's a 5,125 years now this year. So it is very important. We will discuss something about the dynasty of Yadu and the importance of Mathura. So Sri Prabhupada actually is writing that although Lord is husband of the goddess of fortune, like in Brahma Samhita it says Lakshmi Shastra Samvata Sab Vyamanam. So he's serviced by so many thousands and thousands of Lakshmi, and they are waiting for Krishna's order what to do. So actually seeing the Janma and Karma, Janma Karma Chame Divyam Yome Yaveti Tatvata Tattva Devam Punarjanma Naiti Mameti. So Arjuna. So once we know the Janma and Karma Krishna, it's very beneficial for all of us that we need not to take birth again in this material world, and we can get liberated just by knowing in truth the Janma and Karma. So Srila Prabhupada is writing in Bhagavad Gita in 4.6 actually. In 4.6 is Ajo api sanna avyatma bhuta nameshwaro api san prakratin swam dishtaya sambhagamya atma maya. So Krishna comes by atma maya. Atma maya means by his internal potency, which is the Yogamaya Shakti. So he comes by Yogamaya Shakti by his own desire. It's not he comes here by force, by any force or by any destination. That like we as a general people, all the general jivas, we come here not by our own choice, but by the dictation of Maya Devi, that according she gives birth and gives the body according to our activities in the previous several lives, our karma. It all depends on that. But Krishna is not under control of any of these things. And so in this shloka 4.6, Krishna has spoken about the peculiarity of his birth, that he may appear like an ordinary person, that he's taking birth. Like people say, oh, Krishna was born in the prison house in Mathura, but Krishna was born with all four-arm form, and later on Mother Devaki requested him to be in the two-arm form, and he immediately changed the form. He told Vasudevji, take me across the Yamuna to Gokula and take me to Nanda Maharaj palace. So how, like ordinary child will not be in the four-arm form like Lord Vishnu, and he will not speak something, as soon as he's born. Other thing, by Yogmaya's potency, everything, all the gatekeepers went to deep sleep, all the doors were open automatically, all the iron shackles, in the hands of Vasudevji, they all cut off, automatically opened, and Vasudevji was free and took Krishna across the river to Nandagam. So all these things happen because Krishna is not ordinary person. We should remember, and people who say that Krishna is just like ordinary person, they are at great mistake. They do not know how Krishna is Supreme Personality of Godhead. And the Krishna explains actually that his form or his prakriti or his own body It does not change. Actually, he comes in the eternal form in this material world. Like our body, we grow slowly from childhood to youth and youth to old age. But we can see Krishna, Lord Krishna, his growth was still, he was always looking like a young boy, 16 to 20-year-old. He never looked older than that. Like when he was in Kurukshetra war, he was about 90-year-old, but he was looking young as 17-year-old boy. So we can imagine, how Krishna never gets old. We never saw Krishna in any beard or white hair or anything, And Krishna's body is completely eternal. It's like his body and his soul are not different. Like we have our soul different than body. Krishna's is all one. And Krishna's body is fully transcendental. So these are the peculiarity of Krishna's body. And Prabhupada is writing in the purport that Lord Krishna actually is compared, his coming and going is just like comparing to the sun. Because we can see the sun comes in the morning from the horizon, and we have see the light whole day, and then in the evening he goes to some other place, like in the eastern horizon he goes. When he stops on the western horizon, then he goes to eastern. So sun is still there. Sun is there all the time, but it's actually he disappears from our eyes that time. So similarly, Krishna comes in this material world, then he goes to different universe. So from our side, we say, oh, Krishna is born and Krishna is gone. So actually, he's never gone. Actually, he's always here. And so Krishna is always present. So he never so it's just appearance and disappearance from our eyes actually, but Krishna goes to some different universe, and Krishna is simultaneously at Golok Vrindavan also. So Krishna can make as many forms as he wants, and he just giving his mercy to all the Jiva souls. He goes to different universes and tries to purify them, try to perform his leelas so people can remember them for thousands and thousands of years, so people can come back to him, because he is our Supreme Father and he loves all of us, and he's trying that people should come, but it's actually our own inability to remember Krishna, remember his leelas, and chant his names, discuss about him. If we do all these, then Krishna will definitely call us back. Krishna is much more wants us to be back than what we want to go back to Krishna, because we are in material world, and in material world actually we get so much confused and mixed up that we don't want to live. Actually, this material world is not holding us. Actually, we are holding the material world. Actually, because our soul is pure actually, but it just got contaminated because we have all the dirt in our heart, and our soul got contaminated with these material things. But if we clean our heart by chanting, by proper hearing, then we can definitely clean our heart, and we can go back to Supreme Lord actually and serve him there. Excuse me. So I will say something about, because in this shloka there are two important things. One is the Yadu dynasty, and one is the importance of land of Mathura. So we will discuss about these two things in brief, and then if the time permits, we will talk about Nirjala Ekadashi. So actually, if we see there are two, one is Surya Vanisha and one is Chandra Vanisha, and there were so many kings. So the dynasty of Yadu actually, like it started a long time ago from Brahmaji actually, and comes down in Treta Yuga, comes down in Dwapar Yuga, and till end of Dwapar Yuga, Krishna appeared in the Yadu dynasty. So there is so many kings happen from the beginning, So we will just discuss few important kings, not rather than discussing, because it will take so much time, discussing everybody. So we know that Lord Brahma came from Lord Vishnu, from his navel, and he was on the lotus flower. And from Brahma, And Lord Brahma was actually instructed by Vishnu that that you produce the jiva souls, and fill up this material world. So Lord Brahma, by thinking, he had 7 known as Manas Putra by his mind. Actually, he developed them. That means, he had no wife, or there was no combination of male or female to have the child. So they were Manas Putra. They were born from his mind. So there were 7 rishis, saints, So Atri was one of them. So Atri Muni married to Bhadra. And they had son known as Soma. So actually Soma is Soma Vansh or Chandra Vansh. So Moon dynasty where Lord Krishna came, he started from Soma. So Soma was actually very, very beautiful, very attractive. So Brahaspati's wife, her name was Tara, she got attracted to Soma, who was very beautiful. So with her, and Brahaspati didn't know about their affair, So Soma and Tara had affair, and by that they gave birth to Buddha. This Buddha is not Buddha, Lord Buddha, because this was in Lord Buddha came in Kali Yuga, but this Buddha was in Satya Yuga. And so Buddha came to the Bharat Khanda, and he married to Suryavanshi, daughter of Suryavanshi king. Her name was Yela, because Yela fell in love with the Buddha, and then they have the son known as Pururava. So Buddha and Yela, son was Pururava. So Pururava was the king who established the Prayag city. And actually Pururava was very powerful king, very, very strong. So he actually helped Indra and help in the fight with the demons. So Indra was very happy, and he gave gift of Urvashi, a damsel from the Swargalok. So Urvashi came in the material world with Pururava, and she stayed with him for 60 years. And Pururava and Urvashi had 6 sons. So the eldest son was Ayu, then Avasu, Vishwasu, Ritayu, Satayu, Ayu Tuyu. So the Ayu was the eldest son, and he married to Queen Vraja. And then they have 6 sons: Yati, Yayati, Samati, Ayati, Viyati, and Kriti. So, and we know all through the Bhagavatam, we know the history of Yayati. So actually, Yayati was the great king, very powerful, very beautiful. So I will just tell you a little bit in short history, the story of King Yayati. So Yayati actually was coming in the forest, just for hunting. So there was a king in that area. His name was Vishraprabha. So Vishraprabha was king, and his priest was Shukracharya. And Shukracharya has a daughter. Her name was Devayani. And King Vishraprabha had a daughter. Her name was Sharmishta. So Sharmishta and Devayani were almost of same age, and they were playing together all the time. So one was the king of daughter, and one was king of the Rajguru. So one time, actually, Sharmishta and Devayani went to a river and took bath there. But after the bath, Devayani by mistake put on the cloth of Sharmishta. So Sharmishta was very, very angry, because she was king's daughter, and she didn't think that Devayani should wear the princess clothes, because she was thinking that Shukracharya actually was eating his bread, he was dependent on his father's pay. So that's why she yelled at him, and she got so mad, and she threw her in a well. And then Devyani was yelling, help me from the dry well. So Yayati, King Yayati was passing by, and he heard this cry of a girl. So he came and he helped. He gave her his hand, for Devyani, so she can come out of the well. So in the olden days, this was the custom that if somebody holds your right hand, that means you have to marry with that person. So he was holding Devyani's hand, and so Yayati had to marry her because Devyani was Brahman's daughter, and Yayati was Kshatriya. So it was Pratiloma marriage, but some of the other they did that marriage. And so when Devyani told her father Shukracharya that Sarmishta did this thing to me, so he went to the king Vishwaprabha, and he told that this is not right and your daughter should not have done that. So to pacify him, because king was worried about the curse of Shukracharya, so he said that my daughter, as a punishment, she will go as a dowry to wherever Devyani is married. So when Devyani married to this king Yayati, then she went with her as a servant. So then later on, what happened, Sarmishta was the princess, so there was some, like Yayati got attracted to Sarmishta also. So he had 2 children from Sarmishta and 3 from Devyani. So he had 5 children. But then when Devyani knew that he had affair with Sarmishta, who is her servant, she was working as a servant for her. So she got very angry, and she went to her father, Shukracharya, and told him, and Shukracharya cursed Yayati that you become old because you are having extramarital affairs. So you should become old, and then in all your strength go away. So Yayati actually requested Shukracharya, please take your curse back, because he wanted to enjoy more and more this material world. So then after he cried. So then Shukracharya told that there is one way you can come out. If one of your son takes your old age in exchange, then you can get your youth back. So he told all his 5 sons, he had 5 sons, Yadu and Turvashu. They were the son of Sarmishta. And then Druyu, Anu, and Puru. So they were the sons of his wife Devyani. So actually he asked all his sons, that take my old age and give me your youth, and nobody agreed, because Yadu was the eldest son, and he really wanted to help his father, but he actually wanted to have Lord Krishna in his family, because Krishna comes in the Yadu dynasty. So, and he wanted to have the pious life, right, rather than rule the kingdom and everything, rather than giving his youth and become old. But his youngest son, Puru, actually agreed, and he took his old age, and ultimately Yayati was very happy with him. He enjoyed his youth again for thousands and thousands of years, and later on he realized that there is no fun actually. So we all should learn from that in this material world, all these enjoyments are useless actually, and to service the Lord is the most important thing. So all this, so from this Yadu dynasty, who was the son of Yayati, from Yadu, this Yadu Kul started, Yadu once started. So from Yadu, the dynasty of Yadu started, and from Turu he started the Yavan dynasty, which is people went to Turkey. So Turkey people are all the children of this Turvasu. And from Drumyo, the Bhoj dynasty started, and from Anu, the Greek dynasty, people in the Greek, they started from Malech, also known as Malech dynasty, and from Puru, the Pururava dynasty started. So we know there is a lot of story, but we don't have time about Pururava also, So these all the 5 dynasty, they took over, spread over all over the world from these King Yayati's children, 5 children. So now we will talk about the Madhavendra Puri, that how he glorified the Yadu dynasty. So Madhavacharya, he wrote nice few lines actually about the Yadu dynasty. He says, Sandhyam Sandhya Vandana Bhadrastu Bhavato Bho Snana Tubhyam Namo Bho Devaha Pitarascha Tarpan Vido Naham Kshamyatam Yatra Kwapi Nisadhya Yadava Pulauta Sasya Kansadvesha Ismaram Adam Harami Tadalam Manye Kimananye Name. So he's saying, oh my prayers 3 times a day, all glories to you. I offer my obeisances unto you. O demigods, O forefathers, please excuse me for my inability to offer my respects. Now, where I sit, I can remember the great descendant of Yadu dynasty, who is the Lord Krishna, the enemy of Kansa, and thereby I can free myself from all sinful bondages. I think this is sufficient for me. So he's saying, O demigods or O forefathers, I'm not remembering you. I'm remembering Lord Krishna because he can give me the liberation, and that's sufficient for me. So that's why please excuse me that I offer my obeisances to all the demigods, but I remember all the time about Lord Krishna. Also there is Govinda Das actually wrote very nice poem about Yadukul Nandan, Lord Krishna. Jaya Jaya Yadukula Jalanidhi Chandra Vrajakula Gokula Ananda Kanda Jaya Jaya Jaladhara Shamara Anga Helana Kalpataru Lalita Tribanga Sudaye Sudhamaya Murali Vilasa Jana Jana Mohana Madhuri Mahasa Avani Vilambita Bani Bana Bala Madhukara Jankara Tatahira Sala Taruna Aruna Ruchi Pada Aravindam Nakamani Nichani Dasa Govinda. So Dasa Govinda Das is saying, all glories to Lord, who is like the moon risen from the ocean of Yadu dynasty, to the Lord who is the bliss of Gokula pastures. Glory, glory to Lord, whose limbs are dark like monsoon cloud. The Lord whose graceful form bends in 3 places like Shyamasundar, like the bending Kalpataru tree. His pastimes is to play nectar melodies on his flute. The sweetness of his smile enchants everyone in the world. He lingers in the forest of new flowers. He is like a mango tree where black bees hum. The lotus flowers of the sole of his feet glisten with the charming new redness. Govinda Das worshipped the jewels that are the nails of his lotus feet. So this is very beautiful poem and written by Govinda Das. So there is so much description about Yadu dynasty in Bhagavad Gita, in Srimad Bhagavatam also, in 1st chapter, 2nd chapter. Let me offer my respectful obeisances unto him who is associated of the members of Yadu dynasty and who is always a problem for a non-devotee. He is the supreme enjoyer of both the material and spiritual worlds. Yet he enjoys his own opulence, his own abode in the spiritual sky. There is no one equal to him because his transcendental opulence is immeasurable. So there is so much glories about Lord Krishna who took birth in Yadu dynasty. So now we will read a little bit about the Lord's birth in Mathura, because land of Mathura is very, very important, because it is also described in Nectar instruction. Like we can read verse number 9, we say that how important is the land of Mathura. So text 9 says, Vaikuntha janito vara madhupuri tatra pirasots savada vrandaranyam udarapane ramanat tatrapi govardhan radha kundam ihapi gokulapate premamrita plavanat Kuryadasya virajato giritate sevam viveki nakaha. The holy place known as Mathura is spiritually superior to Vaikuntha. So even Mathura Puri is more superior than Vaikuntha Lord, the transcendental world, because lords appeared there. Superior to Mathura is the transcendental forest of Vrindavan. So Vrindavan forest is much more transcendental, even to the Mathura Puri, because of Krishna's Ras Leela pastimes. And superior to forest of Vrindavan is the Govardhan Hill, because he was raised by the divine hands of Govardhan Hill, for it was raised because the Govardhan Dhari Krishna lifted the Govardhan Hill. So that place is has much more importance, was the side. And also around the Govardhan Hill, Krishna performed so many activities. And above all, super excellent Sri Radha Kunda stands supreme. That's why Radha Kunda is, in all Braj Bhumi, Radha Kunda is the most important and most sacred place. Then the Govardhan, and then the Braj Bhumi, and then the Mathura. So this is the hierarchy of the importance of the Braj Bhumi. So it is overflooded. Why Radha Kunda is so important? Because it is overflooded with the ambrosial nectarian flame of the Lord of Gokul, Sri Krishna. So that intelligent person who is unwilling to serve his divine Radha Kunda, which is situated in the foothill of Govardhan. So Radha Kunda is at the foothill of Govardhan. So when people go to do the parikrama, they do the darshan of Radha Kunda and Shama Kunda there. So Radha Kunda is the most important thing. So in Braj Bhumi, there are 12 forests actually. So some forests are on the eastern side of Yamuna river and some are on the western side. So Krishna actually was born in the Mathura, who is on the eastern side. So those forests actually Krishna was there for some time, not too long. So there are 5 forests. One is Bhadra one is Bel one, Loho one, Bhandir one, and Mahavan. They are on the eastern bank of Yamuna. But Krishna, when he was 3-year-old, he was transferred because all the demons were coming. So he was transferred to western side of the Yamuna river. So, and Krishna performed all his leelas, all the activities, all his childhood was passed on the western side of Yamuna. And there are 7 very important forests like Madhuvan, Talvan, Kumudvan, Bahulavan. Bahulavan is the forest where there is history of cow, one lion actually got hold of him, and then Bahula cow requested that let me go and feed my child, my child, my small calf, and then I will come back and then you can eat me. So that place is Bahulavan. Then there is Kamivan, Khandirvan, and Vrindavan forest. So these are the 12 forests, and all are very important. And when we actually whole land of Mathura is so pure, and even the dust, all the Brajraj, is so transcendental that we should actually take Samraj every day, and that will be very beneficial. Many devotees actually, when they go to Braj Bhumi, they bring Samraj and they put it little bit on prasadam, when they eat food, so because that's very transcendental. Many people who goes to Vrindavan, Braj Bhumi, they actually roll in the Braj Bhumi actually to get some dust, because that dust was actually all the gopis, they are the first class devotees. So there is dust from their lotus feet. So all the gopis dust and Lord Krishna's dust, they all in the Braj Bhumi, and we should definitely take that Raj, and that will be very helpful. We bring the tilak, tilak is also made by the Braj Raj actually. That's why tilak is on our forehead and on our nose, and we can remember Lord Krishna by that, So this is the importance of all the Braj Bharat, the Mathura, land of Mathura. And now we will just tell you a little bit about the Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi, because this is very special Ekadashi. On this Ekadashi, actually, if we break some Ekadashi by mistake a whole year, then we can still get all the benefits of performing Ekadashi. If we do Nirjala Ekadashi very seriously, not drinking a drop of water. So there is some exception for the older people who cannot do it. They can still get some Charnamrat and some Achman water, just few drops, not much, if they cannot live without them. So actually, this Pandava Nirjala Ekadashi started by Bhima. It was a request. Bhima requested actually Srila Vyasadeva, that because Vyasadeva was grandfather of all the Pandavas. So he was asking Vyasadeva that, is it possible to return to the spiritual world without having observed all the rules and regulations of Ekadashi? So Vyasadeva said, he thought about it, and because Bhim, all the Pandavas were actually following the Ekadashi, all the Pandava brothers, Kunti, Draupadi, everybody can follow the Ekadashi Vrat. But Bhim, because Bhim had Jat, his air in the stomach, the Jatragni, was very powerful. It will digest everything, and if he does not take, he will feel burning sensation all day in the stomach. So that's why he said that give me some vrata, which he can observe, and that will give him benefit of all the Ekadashi, doing all the Ekadashi. So Vyasadeva actually told Bhim that you can follow one Ekadashi which comes in this month, month of June, when it is very hot, and you should perform Nirjala without drinking even a drop of water. Forget about the food, if you can do one day, then it will give you benefit of all performing Ekadashis wholly around whole year. So Bhim did, and since at that time, this Ekadashi was started, and it gives really a lot of benefit. So whole day we should actually chant, hear, read Srimad Bhagavatam, so that way we can actually get purified and we can get all the benefits of Nirjala. So good luck to everyone for performing, and best wishes for performing Nirjala Ekadashi today, and remembering Krishna whole day, chanting as much as possible, maybe 64 rounds or more. So let us do that, and I will end here. If there is any question, comments, corrections, please let me know, and we can discuss about it. Thank you very much. Hare Krishna.
If anybody has any questions or realizations, reflections, please just unmute yourself. Thank you very much, Prabhu. I think we have started Pandav Nirjala Ekadasi in a very nice way. Just as the verse was explaining, you told us about the Yadu dynasty, where Krishna was born, and all the things that we should be talking about, especially on an Ekadasi. So thank you very much. I think it is one of those classes where we have to meditate on what you have spoken. There's no clarifications needed. It's actually doing what is being asked of us.
Thank you, Mataji. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So if nobody has any questions, go ahead, Mataji.
Just a comment.
Yeah.
Like the story of King Ayati and Samishta and Devyani, and the importance of this Pandava is like Adsi. And I also like when you said that material nature is not holding us. We are holding the material things. So we have to purify ourselves. So it's important to remember this. That we are holding the material nature. We should purify ourselves of all the greed, enviness, etc. That's it. Thank God.
Yeah, we are holding this material world like we are holding a pole. Like there was a class there somebody gave, and I remember in our temple that one person was holding the pole and telling that leave me alone. But who is holding the pole actually? So actually, pole was not holding you. You were holding the pole. So the pole is the material world. So that's why we are holding actually. We have choice that we can remember Krishna, chant his name, and get out of this material world. The material world is not a problem. Actually, we are the problem. Our senses are the problem. We cannot live them. We want to enjoy. That is our disease actually, which keeps us Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. And they can only go by seriously taking this process of Krishna consciousness. Thank you, Mataji.
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Prabhu. Thank you.
Thank you, Hare Krishna.
So we'll end the class here.
Vancha kalpatarubhyasya kripa sindhubhya ch patitanam Vaishnavebhyo namo namah. Ananta Koti Vaishnav Vrinda ki jai. Nirjala Ekadashi ki jai.
Jai. Jai.
Hari Bol.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.